Discuss where I differ and where my position and what it is that I advocate differs from a lot of what people do. I know that folks get enthusiastic when they see like some sort of forward movement, acting as if they are fixing a problem, particularly Republicans or people that would or call themselves conservatives, whatever they call themselves. But you get it. And you real quick start to see that, yeah, just because we both rag on leftists does not mean we advocate the same thing. But looking at this past year, I think we're beyond trying it these guys' way. Unfortunately, people, and a lot of big name conservatives, and you may think that they're well-intended. I start to question that, because I think a lot of people seem to be around just to protect the status quo. But you notice how when people present solutions, they present solutions that still operate within the framework of what already exists and that we know is rotten. So I think this is why oftentimes it's almost dead on arrival and those solutions never amount to any goddamn thing. I'm not knocking. I want to be very clear before we get started. I don't think that every person that's doing this or thinks that this is a great thing has bad intentions. I want to be clear about that. No, I do think that they're missing the mark, and I'll explain why. So this was seeming to be good news that a lot of people put out. Thought, Daily Wire, they basically see you in court talking about Biden the vaccine mandate. Now, them saying we are not going to comply and them doing it means a lot more and goes a lot further than, to me, anything they could potentially do or think they're going to do in court. I'm going to explain why. But let's read this as covered by my man's Chris Pandolfo of Blaze. Daily Wire filed a lawsuit against the federal government to stop President Joe Biden's vaccine mandate on large private businesses. The conservative media outlet partnered with Dillon Law Group and the Alliance Defending Freedom to sue Biden administration in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit. And again, they announced this. I'm not going to go into details about what exactly that mandate entails. You know, they're going to be fining businesses lots of money, and they have a bit, I believe, to the January 4th to make sure that they get this done. This is what Ben Shapiro said on Fox and Friends. He says, we are not going to comply with this mandate, and we've already filed a federal lawsuit with the Sixth Court of Appeals to stop this mandate. He says it's unconstitutional, it's illegal, it violates the original Enabling Act for OSHA. It is completely anti-scientific as well. So he says it's a crackdown on liberty by Biden administrations, which Shapiro said, I don't disagree with any of that. He says it has nothing to do with actually mitigating COVID and everything to do with top-down control by Biden's administration. I don't disagree with that. But this is what I will say, and what I disagree with is, and this is more strategic than anything, but I'm going to explain why. The status quo has gotten us here, and you've seen that the federal, particularly like federal government's courts, systems, as well as the alphabet agencies, are complicit. So depending on them to, I don't know, do something just is holding your breath. But more importantly, placing some sort of faith in that, I think, is even more dangerous. See, my thing is I'm trying to delegitimize the federal government's authority for every individual that I can sort of get to realize this. See, I don't want to operate within the framework of what already exists, because what exists is rotten. We know that the enemy will not play by the rules, okay? They've rigged things in their favor. So why give them even a perceived form of legitimacy by going through what they think must happen? You're better off saying, you know what? These guys don't rule over us. We're not going to comply. Go fuck yourself. And if conservative leaders, like, and I'm not talking about just politicians, I'm talking about even folks like the Daily Wire. And this is something, I've been Michael Knowles and all those guys. Obviously there's a lot of crossover because, I do stuff with Blaze. But I'd say this to my guys at Blaze as well. I've said this before. If people spent more time putting decentralization at the top of what their focus is and trying to get us on the other side of whatever this is that we're dealing with right now, if you delegitimize those institutions, the problems will correct themselves. So I'm less about, okay, we need to get lucky and hope that the courts have some sort of integrity. Instead of waiting on them, how about this? The courts don't rule over us. This is something that is not legitimate. This is just this man's words. If he wants to try to come force it, he can take his old ass down to Tennessee where they are, or down to Texas where we are, and enforce it his goddamn self. But we're not going to recognize, and this is the part where, again, things get shaky because you still have those milquetoast conservatives who are so hell bent on saving the republic. So they still believe in the system. As I've said, the only people that benefit from that are leftists because you ensure their power structure. I am trying to reject it. Their authority should be rejected. And I think it's more conducive to express and explain that and then use the resources that you do have to protect yourselves and your allies, if you will, from any harm that may be done in that regard. Now, you can't say fucking everybody, but the more people you get to delegitimize their authority, the less authority they have because it's perceived. It's just perceived. It's just they count on you doing what they want. And in often cases, like we see with these businesses, they've gotten so good at it that they can get the business to act as an arm of the state. This is why I say when I look at the federal government, it's rotten. It cannot be reformed. Reformed protects the status quo. The status quo is the problem. It needs to be eliminated. And that's going to take a lot of conservative, a lot of people that claim to value liberty to unlearn a lot of what they have been grown to believe as they stood in school, hand over their heart, saying the pledge. You have to unlearn a lot in that your enemy does not play by the rules. So trying to play their game in the first place is a losing effort, but it's going to get a lot of y'all fucking killed. And I'm using that figuratively, metaphorically as well. So my approach, and this is a great opportunity for people to understand where it is that I'm coming from and the philosophy it is that I advocate. Why I attack so much to their authority and the perceived legitimacy that people give them, as opposed to trying to do it their way. Do it in court. I'll handle this in court, and this is what everybody looks to. And we already know the court systems, as well as the investigative agencies, FBI and such, are fucking crooked as hell. Why on fucking earth would we depend on them to try to get us out of this? It's an animal that cannot be reformed. It needs to be eliminated. But elimination of it does not have to require some sort of like extreme court case that we, get legitimized by some group of fucking asshole judges. No. We just say, okay, no. And we convince everybody else to have the same approach. So I'm more interested in delegitimizing these authority figures in the eyes of the people that are ruled over, because it's more of them, more of us than it is of them. Okay? That's what we're trying to do. Not looking for a political or government solution per se, and more of a market one, if you will. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.